Yes, Mataji, Hare Krishna. Shivers.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा seeking blessings from all of you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So we'll continue reading Madhurya Kadambini by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And so far, now we are still in the second shower and towards the end, right? That's where we are right now, the last section. And this section really talks about Bhajana Kriya. So yesterday we discussed the first step, which was Shraddha, faith. And we talked about how this Shraddha was like when we are steady with association of devotees, we are steady with the chanting, and we are steady with reading the scriptures, all of that is happening. So the symptoms are like we have faith, that's Shraddha, plus we have also taken up devotional practices. So that's the symptom. And then what happens is Krishna makes arrangements where a spiritual master is, arranged to be available for us. That definitely requires some purification. But then again, we talked about how the relationship with spiritual master is very important. It's not something like a fashion where, oh, I just take up some spiritual master just because, it looks good. It's not like that at all. But really, the sole purpose is that the spiritual master is going to help us grow in our spirituality, right? And they, as I said, that responsibility is there, that finally the disciple has to be liberated. So we have to really be very careful when we are selecting the spiritual master. We have to be aligned with, and also this is someone you're going to be serving, right? And also having that relationship is very important. We talked about all that with the spiritual master. And then now we have, so also then in this stage of sadhu sangha, so shraddha happened, then taking approaching a spiritual master, inquiring from him, serving the spiritual master, receiving initiation also happened in the sadhu sangha stage. That's what happened in sadhu sangha. So we have done that, right? Faith was there, received initiation, and now we are moving along. And then the third step is that bhajana kriya. So in the bhajana kriya also there are two types of bhajana kriya, right? One is the anishtita, which is unsteady, and then there is the nishtita, that is steady bhajana kriya. In the beginning, again, I mean, I can relate to myself, right? It's unsteady. There are so many things that happens. It's kind of one day, and we'll go through the different things, okay, in this also. But that is the unsteady devotional service we are talking about now. So the first one explained here is the utsahamai. This is the short-lived enthusiasm. I'm on page 16 in the book. Just as a pupil entering school may think he has already become a great scholar, worthy of everyone's praise, a person just beginning devotional service may display the audacity to think that he has mastered everything. Utsaha means enthusiasm, and utsahamai means a person who possesses enthusiasm to excess. So, His Holiness Ramapal Swami Maharaj will give this, anecdote that once George Harrison, right? He was visiting Bhaktivedanta Manor, and there was this young, enthusiastic devotee. So it had rained, and there was a puddle on the side. And when he saw George Harrison, flat, he just gave like the full dandavats into that mud puddle. And then George Harrison was like, you didn't have to do that, right? Because all this white kurta, dhoti, everything was full with dirt, So in the beginning, I think, I mean, we all can relate to that. In the beginning, there is this huge enthusiasm, and sometimes we don't have that maturity, right? It's just like that hyper, that enthusiasm we have. And so that's what it is, the utsahame. It also, I've heard the term where, it's been used like it's the honeymoon period, right? We are like, wow, this is great. And so much excitement, so much enthusiasm, and all of that. Even during receiving initiation, we get the beads that has been chanted by the spiritual master. Enthusiasm is like all the way up there, right? And then as years progress along, the enthusiasm kind of goes down, right? So this is what it is, the short-lived enthusiasm. The next one is Ghanatarala. That is sporadic endeavor, right? It's not consistent. It's like thick and thin. A pupil may be diligently engaged in his studies, and yet at other times, because of inability to understand the subject matter and because of lack of real taste, becomes totally negligent. In the same way, a new devotee sometimes practices the different activities of devotional services attentively and sometimes neglects them. Being sometimes assiduous and other times negligent, his sporadic endeavor is called Ghanatarala. So it is like condensed and then dilute. So, like a pendulum, swing very nicely, everything is great, everything is consistent. And then swing over here, it's like, oh no, so then there is like absenteeism or not showing up or even complacency with reading scriptures and things like that. So we kind of do that swinging back and forth. This is Vyudha Vikalpa, which is indecision. Again, oscillate between resolve and doubt. This section is really kind of, you kind of, I started chuckling when I read this, right? So look at this, okay? So this section, it says, shall I just be a householder happy in family life, making my wife and children devotees and worshipping the Lord? Or should I give all that up and go and sit in a place of meditation in Vrindavan and become successful by engaging full time in hearing and chanting with no distraction? Second question, shall I wait until the last stage after enjoying all sorts of pleasures when I have understood that the whole material world is simply a forest fire of affliction? Or should I renounce right now? Should I put faith in the household life, right? Then Maya, in the form of a woman created by the Lord, approaches the man gently. One should see her as death, like a well which is covered with grass. Then the next thought comes. King Bharata, right, who longed to serve the Lord, gave up wife, sons, friends, and kingdom as if they were stole, though they were touching to the heart and thus difficult to give up at a young age. Or should I delay renouncing? Oh, my poor elderly parents and my wife with a mere infant and my other young children. Without me, they have no one to protect them and will suffer unbearably. How can they live without me? So these are all verses, okay? I'm reading from the book. These are all verses quoted in the from different Srimad Bhagavatam verses. But in old age, I will not have any strength to renounce. Therefore, right now, I should just maintain my life, enter the forest, and spend 24 hours worshipping the Lord. Then, thus, because of his foolish mentality, a householder whose heart is overwhelmed by family attachment is never satisfied. Constantly meditating on his relatives, he dies and enters into the darkest ignorance. This is Srimad Bhagavatam 11:17-58. Therefore, for a devotee engaged in bhakti with mind fixed on me, the cultivation of knowledge and renunciation is generally not beneficial for bhakti. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:20-31. There is no faith, there is no fault, in renunciation if it produces bhakti, if it is dependent on bhakti. By sophism, one may justify immediate renunciation of householder life, having confidence that there will be no worry for food, since it is well known that the sadhus as the ashramas eat plentifully. Thus, the neophyte sometimes contemplates a life of renunciation. See that? Oh Krishna, until people become your devotees, their material attachments and desires remain peace. Their homes remain prisons, and their affectionate feelings for their family remain full shackles. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-36. But at other times, he favors household life. Shall I engage in chanting, or perhaps in hearing, or shall I engage in service? Let me rather engage in many angas of bhakti like Ambarish Maharaj. When one speculates on all types of options in devotional service, it's called Vyuddha Vikalpa, or extensive indecision and imagination. I can relate to this because I think I also go through those feelings, right? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? All those kind of mixed thoughts come into that. So that indecision. Vishaya Sangara. In this section, what happens is when we have struggled with Maya, this is all our attachments, right? Persons absorbed in material enjoyment. Absorption in Vishnu is more difficult. So a person cannot easily catch an object going west. So if we are planning to go east, and then we cannot go west. This is the example of putting our foot into boats. This is the typical example is given. We cannot do that, right? Or even the example is given where, we are trying to leave, but the boat is already hooked on into the shore, right? It is already tied to the shore. So we cannot leave. Where are we even going? The boat is not going to move because we are so attached with all the material attachments that we have. So that's Vishaya Sangara. Then we have Niyamakshama. This is inability to uphold vows. So here what happens is the devotee may resolve. Okay, so this is the devotee. So this is not the basic, the four essential things we take during initiation, the vows. This is not that. This is extra vows that we do for ourselves. We will say from today, I'm going to chant maybe 64 rounds, right? I'll say, okay, for this whole Kartik month, I'm going to chant 64 rounds. But what happens? I'm not able to keep up because of my different responsibilities and things like that. I'm not able to keep up. So that he makes such resolutions every day, but he is always unable to execute them. This is called Niyamakshama, inability to uphold his vow. Vishaya Sangara is the inability to give up material activities, whereas Niyamakshama is the inability to develop attraction to bhakti. Then we have Tarangarangini, which is enjoying the fruits of bhakti. See, this one we have to be so careful. So here what happens is, when we perform bhakti, we already saw, right? There are going to be the positive results. We are going to have the positive results. And with all of this, if the heart is not clean, we can develop pride. So that's what happens. See, bhakti produces much opportunity for material gain, labha, worship, which is puja, and position, which is pratishtha. So these are weaves around the creeper of bhakti. Engaging oneself in pleasure seeking Ranga amidst these weed-like activities, which are but small waves, taranga, in the ocean of bhakti, is called Taranga Rangini, delighting in material opportunities. So here we are, following the devotional practices, and maybe we cooked very nice prashadam, or we are leading very nice kirtan, or we did some nice deity dressing. Oh, Prabhu, your kirtan is so nice. Oh, Prabhu, your class was so good. Oh, Mataji, your this was so nice. And then what happens? We start feeling proud, like, look, oh, I'm doing so well in these things and things like that, right? So that's what this is. So that kind of gives us that false pride. And it is again an impediment in the process of bhakti. So that is Taranga Rangini. So with that, we'll stop. And then tomorrow, I'll just do like a quick summary of everything that we have done so far. And then we will move on to very important section, which is Anartha.